This is Cruise Radio.
Cruise Radio is brought to you in part by TripInsurance.com. Travel insurance done right by the people who know travel insurance. Get a quote today at TripInsurance.com.
Broadcasting from the TripInsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida.
This is
Cruise Radio. Cruise Radio.
Earlier this summer, Heather sailed a 7-night cruise to Southeast Alaska, and she's here to talk about it. How are you doing, Heather?
Good.
Okay, so normally you're a Carnival cruiser. They cruise 2 ships out of Seattle, which is where you departed from. Why did you pick Princess on this one?
Well, this was not our original itinerary, I guess, or our original plan. We had talked about going to Alaska a while since a couple of friends of ours had gone several years ago. And we had kind of talked back and forth about it, and we never laid any plans down until another set of friends asked us to go with them. And they had already planned, a 2020 Alaskan cruise, and we all know how that went. And so when they planned this itinerary, they asked us to go, and we jumped at the chance.
Any pre-cruise time in Seattle?
Yes. I had never been to the Pacific Northwest. And so we came in 2 days early. We flew in on a Thursday, and we hit the ground running as soon as we got to Seattle. I have a friend who lives north of Seattle, and she and her husband picked us up from the hotel, and we did all the things, all the touristy things. We ate a late lunch, early dinner at the Crab Pot. Then we went on a harbor cruise. Then we rode the wheel. And by the time we got back to our hotel on Thursday, we had been up for 21 hours. We were so tired. And then first thing Friday morning, we got up and were the second couple at the top of the Space Needle Friday morning. My friend told me that Mount Rainier is, normally covered up in clouds, and she was out in all her glory. Every time we looked at her, it was so beautiful. We were just a little overwhelmed with how beautiful the area is out there.
You certainly made a day out of it. So you wake up in the morning, it's time to board Discovery Princess. How long did it take you from the curb to the ship?
We got an Uber from the hotel to take us to the port. We were at Port 91 or Pier 91. It was a little, because we've only ever sailed out of New Orleans, and we know the process, and it's easy and it's familiar. And I was a little nervous about, Seattle, because this was a new port, new cruise line. But we got dropped off, took our 6 bags of luggage between us, and it was a little chaotic because there was a Holland ship leaving around the same time that we were. And so we had to make sure that we were in the right line, took all of our luggage through the port and dropped it off. And checking in was a breeze because we had the medallion. I cannot say enough good things about having the medallion. Checking in was we were in green lane. If you were in blue lane, you had to stop and do a little bit more. It was about 15 more minutes added. Mm-hmm. But from curb to ship was about 30 to 35 minutes. So it wasn't bad at all. It is a beautiful ship. We came in, I think, on deck 6 and came into the piazza kind of atrium area. And it's just so, I think the ship is only like 2 years old. And so it still looks shiny and new, and it's just beautiful. A chandelier is beautiful. It's just beautiful. Everything is I think laid out pretty well. That it wasn't too confusing to try to get used to, where we needed to go. And of course, the first thing we wanted to do was go eat. I will say that I think the pool deck was a little smaller than I expected, but it just first hit me that it was just a beautiful ship.
So what kind of stateroom did you book for your very first Alaska cruise?
We had a standard balcony, starboard side, and it was closer to the aft. And I was a little nervous about that because I was afraid, especially with being in the Pacific, it was going to be rockier than I was used to. But it was fine. It was not. It was there. Now, I think Sunday, the day after we left port, it was rocky, and everybody was dealing with it. There were several people who were seasick. But thankfully, we did not. But The room was smaller, even though it was a balcony room, it was smaller than we were expecting. It was comfortable, and we had plenty of room to store everything. We had our suitcases under the bed and everything. It was just trying to move around, but, around each other it got a little tricky, every once in a while, but the bathroom was tiny. I opened the door and I laughed because it was so small. But again, we weren't in there at the same time, and it was fine. I like the walk-in style closet, not really walk-in, but the open closet that's right there by the bathroom. Then there's some shelves between the bathroom and the closet, and I liked having that open area right there. The one thing that I did not like about the room was the night light, like the motion activated light that you couldn't turn off. There's one beside the bed, and my husband just shoved like a blanket or something on it when we would go to bed at night. But the one at the bathroom you couldn't turn off, and so there's just this bright light that's shining on you if you have to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. A little jarring, but if that was our only complaint, I think we did good.
Let's talk about the food for Discovery. We'll start at the top at, what was it, the World Fresh Market?
Yes. The buffet is, World Fresh Marketplace. And then there's also, I did not realize this until the last day. There was a Horizon something. I can't remember what it was. Horizon Cafe or something. I thought it was just all the World Fresh Marketplace, one buffet. The food was great. It was total chaos most of the time because there were 4,006 people on the ship, and it seemed like everybody wanted to eat at the buffet at the same time. So trying to get a table was we had to be really smart with how we did things. One of us would save the table, and the rest of us would go get food, and then it was a little chaotic, especially embarkation day. I thought, oh gosh, what have we gotten ourselves into? But the food was good. Breakfast was amazing. Bacon every day. So that was good.
What time dining did you have, and how was it?
Don't think they had set times. I did not see that on the app anywhere to choose that, or I couldn't choose it when we booked our cruise. And we made reservations most nights. We didn't, for 2 of the port days, we didn't because we weren't sure what time we were going to get in. But both of those days, we just walked straight onto the ship and straight to one of the dining rooms. They have 3 main dining rooms: Juneau, Skagway, and Ketchikan. And we didn't eat in Juneau, but we ate at Ketchikan the first night, and it was good. It was, the staff was friendly, and they did a great job. But then when we went to Skagway dining room, it was a totally different vibe. They were happy to be there. They were excited about their jobs. They were funny. We really enjoyed, the Skagway dining room. And the maitre d' he always, every time we ate there, he would come over and he would talk to us, and we just had a great time. And so we ate in the Skagway dining room 3 nights. We didn't even try Juneau or go back to Ketchikan because we enjoyed Skagway so much.
Did you do any specialty dining?
We did. We had the Princess Premier package, and with that comes, you get 2 specialty dining. The first one was the Catch by Rudy. That was on Sunday night, our second night. That was our favorite by far. That was the best lobster tail I have ever had, land or sea. And we just could not stop talking about it after. The desserts were amazing, and we couldn't make up our minds. And so we each got one of the desserts, and we just kind of passed it around between the 4 of us. The staff was amazing, and the food was just, and it was, my friend couldn't decide between 2 entrees, or maybe it was appetizers, I'm not sure, but she asked him, she said, well, what would you choose? And he said, I'll bring you both. And that happened several times during the cruise. I would say, I can't decide between this and this, and he said, I'll bring you both. So, and that was not just in the Catch, that was everywhere. The only disappointing dinner we had was at Sabatini's, and everything was delicious. Everything and the service was amazing. but the entrees just really fell short, both of ours. And so our server he was very concerned that my husband had not eaten anything. And of course, we had already had appetizers and salads and a pasta that he had brought out just as a happy, which was so good. And we were already full. And so it didn't matter. And so the next day we came back into our room from, I don't know if we had been out in port or what, but there was a plate of chocolate covered strawberries that the dining team had sent us because of our experience. So I thought that was a great way to not make up for it, because there was nothing to make up for. It was just a little bit disappointing for what we had. And then we also we had to pay for Crown Grill that we wanted to eat there. So we ate at Crown Grill, and it was one of the best fillets we've ever had. Both of us got the fillet, and we can't say enough great things about the restaurants on Discovery. We were blown away. For lunch on Embarkation Day, when you have Princess Premier, all of the casual dining restaurants, and I don't know, I can't remember all of them on Discovery Princess, but I know Gigi's Pizza was one of them. You get, unlimited casual dining. I think if you have Princess Plus, you only get 2 per person for the week. And so we were able to eat at Gigi's. That's right. We didn't eat at the buffet our first day. I think we looked at it and we were like, nope. And so we went to Gigi's. The staff they were so fun, and they made our first meal on the ship just really special. And it was delicious pizza.
Let's talk about the entertainment. You mentioned you were in bed by 10 o'clock every night, but during your waking hours, what did you think about it?
The cast of the production shows was amazing. Most all of the entertainment was amazing. They had one duo. They were not great. And it really surprised me, because I just felt like this was a top-notch ship, and I really expected top-notch entertainment all the way around. And they were just not great. I don't know what we call them. I don't know if it's the Atrium Band or the Piazza Band or whatever. They were excellent, and we really enjoyed listening to them. But the cast of the production shows that we saw, the first one was Spotlight Bar, and it was just, the set was amazing. It looked like a Broadway set. The singers, it was a fun show to sit there and watch. And with Princess Premier, we had premier seat. Preferred seating. We were able to sit up a little bit and be able to, really have a good eye view of the show. And then they did rock opera, which was my favorite. Anytime they have songs from The Greatest Showman in something, I'm going to be all about it. And they did 3 out of that, out of the movie. So, and it was so good. Carnival does a great job with their playlist productions, but this one again and it could have been, the Discovery cast, that was so good, but, it just was so much better than what we've seen on Carnival. They had other things going on in the atrium, games and line dance classes, and just when the band would be down there, they would open the floor up for dancing, which was fun to watch. We never did go dance or anything, and then they had a naturalist that they brought on for the entire ship, or for the entire cruise, and he would do lectures in the Princess Theater, and we were able to catch a couple of those. He would talk about, the nature of Alaska and what we would see and the history and things like that.
Okay, so let me ask you, because you said you had Princess Premiere, so you were able to get kind of better seats in the theater. What are your thoughts, like, having to buy a package and buy your way into these certain perks? Like, did you price this out a la carte before the package?
To some extent, I just started looking at the benefits, and I gave up on looking at it a la carte. I just thought this is too much for my brain to handle. We're just going to get Princess Premiere and be done with it. You get drink package, up to 15 drinks, and that includes soft drinks and coffees and water and alcohol. And I think it was 15. It may have been more than that. We never met our limit. I don't drink alcohol And my husband only drinks, a couple of cocktails, maybe the whole day. So we were mainly drinking sodas. And let me just say, I could not be happier when I found out that Princess carried Coke products, because I'm a Diet Coke addict and Diet Pepsi is just not the same. I wish Carnival would go back to Coke products. But, so that was good, to have that. You got on the Princess Premier, you got 2 Premier desserts a day, which these things, and they were only, it was like this giant sundae that just looked like it had a bunch of candy trash all over it. And I'm thinking that's just diabetes in a cup. So I'm not sure. I think our friends ate one, and we just got gelato, which was it was included. Anyway, the desserts, they market it. They're like, you get these great desserts, and it just, that's a lot. But, and then we got the 2 specialty dinings. I will say, when we booked our specialty dining on the app, we got charged for them. And so when I contacted Princess about that, I'm not even going to go into the problems that I had with that. Basically, I had to, when we got to the ship, I had to go to guest services and have them remove the charge. My friend and I had the same problem, that we had been charged. And so what we were going to have to do, if we were going to do it before we got on the ship, we were going to have to cancel our reservations and then redo our reservations with someone with customer service. We were too scared that once we let our reservations go, we weren't going to be able to get those back. So that was the app, I didn't like it. Before the cruise, it glitched all the time. And even on the ship, it was just not what I wanted it to be. But the Medallion, being able to check in the way we did, and getting off the ship at port, getting back on the ship, it just, I wish Carnival would do a Medallion kind of technology. It just means that we'll be probably sailing on Princess more.
What was the casino like as far as the smoke situation in and around it?
The only time I noticed the smoke outside of the casino, we were in, I think we were at Crooner's Bar, and I noticed the smoke at that night. And it was pretty bad. I get a headache almost immediately when I smell cigarette smoke. And so it was trying to, stay with my friends and my husband and not be a baby about it. I wish that they had been able to somehow control it. I don't know what the difference was, because we never experienced that any other time. And when you come in on the lower level of Princess Theater, that you have to go through the casino. I think it's the lower level, but you have to walk through the casino to get to the seats. And so that was a little, I didn't want to really hold my breath the entire time we were walking through, but it was really smoky.
How were the sea days as far as crowds and congestion?
The only place that was really bad was in the buffet. Other than that, the elevators tended to be a little congested. And it was like, there was no rhyme or reason for that. Sometimes it would be really congested and we'd have to wait several times, several go rounds. And then some days we would be the only ones in the elevator. So, it was, it wasn't, the only time it was very noticeable was in the buffet. Like I said, it felt like all 4,000 of us were in the buffet at the same time. But we had one sea day, official sea day. And then the rest of the downtime that we're not in port, the port days a lot of them were like sea days, because like we had Glacier Bay National Park, which, you don't get off the ship. We didn't get into Juneau until I can't remember what time it was. I think it was like 12 or 1. And so we had a lot of time to be able to just, chill and watch for whales out on our balcony, which we did, and we saw a ton. So that's how we liked to spend our sea days.
Yeah, and Glacier Bay is one of those places where it's cool because they do limit the amount of ships that can go in there a day. In fact, when I was in there a couple of months ago, I actually saw the ship you were on, Discovery Princess, that we passed each other. I guess our times were probably staggered, but Did you have like a national park ranger come on board when you were in Glacier Bay, or did they offer any kind of special programming that day?
Yes. 3 rangers boarded the ship, and I had no idea there is an actual park ranger station at the beginning or the opening, I guess, to Glacier Bay. And I had no idea that, I mean, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, okay. And there were actually people, not cruisers. They were like, there was a tent set up beside one of the glaciers. And then there were some people that were kayaking, and it was really nice to see that it wasn't just cruise ships that got to enjoy that. But yes, we had 3 rangers. One was the announcer. She would talk about what we were seeing and what the wildlife would be and what to look for. And then the other 2 would be on deck to answer questions and kind of give, advice about where to look or whatever. But I thought that was really cool.
Talk to us about the excursions. You already spoke about Glacier Bay. Where else did you go?
Juneau was our first port, and we got there on Monday after leaving Saturday. And we got in a little bit later than we had planned originally. I wanted to go to Mendenhall Glacier and do a whale tour and a whale watching tour, and we just couldn't fit both of them in. So we didn't get to go to Mendenhall Glacier. But we did a private whale watching tour through Rum Runners Charters. And the whale watching tours, even the private ones that I have seen, like on videos, I watch ParaDJ religiously, and they've done whale watching tours every time they go to Alaska. And so I was used to seeing seats, just nice enclosed seats, and it just, boats that are made for charters. And this boat was an older boat, and it was a fishing boat. And so when I got there, when we first got to, it was in Auk Bay, and when we first got there, nothing was what I was expecting, and it was delightfully so. We got there, and the captain of the boat was a 30-year-old, saying girl is a little offensive, but she was the sweetest lady, and she had an apprentice captain with her named Luke, who was 19. And she led us down the dock to our boat. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's not what I was expecting. But we had the best time. It was amazing. We saw so many whales. We saw Flame. I don't know if you're familiar with Flame or not, but she is the most photographed whale between Alaska and Hawaii. And she has, the last 4 years, she has had a baby every year, which is unusual for a humpback whale. And she had her newest baby with her, and they named it Sizzle. And Sizzle was very active. Sizzle breached. I mean, he would go down and come just right back up. So we have so many pictures and videos of him playing, and it was exactly what I wanted out of the tour. She took us to another area where we saw a bunch of seals that had hauled out on some rocks. And that was, as I said, it looks like a National Geographic, TV show or something. Then she took us to, and not that it was better than the whales, but it was something we did not expect, had no idea we were going to get to experience this. But she took us to an area, and she didn't tell us what we were doing, but she said, you're going to want to get on the back of the boat for this. So we all met, it was just the 4 of us, and then her and the apprentice captain. And she starts whistling, and she has a piece of beef fat in her hand, and she starts whistling, and all of a sudden, bald eagles start coming out of the woodwork. And she's throwing the beef fat in the water, and they are surrounding us almost. And it was just so magical. I can't even describe the feeling. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. She said that we were there at a great time because the salmon had not really started running yet. And after the salmon starts running, they would not be as greedy or as, they would not be coming as readily as they did because they would be full of salmon and not caring about beef fat. So, anyway, that was just a really special moment that we got to share. So it just made the day.
Great day in Juneau. What was your next port of call?
We went to Skagway the next day, and we ditched the crowd, and we did not do the White Pass Railway. The friend that had actually booked the trip, she wanted to do she got a Jeep. She rented a Jeep through DIY Jeep Tours in Skagway. And I'm so glad we did that because we were able to stop wherever we wanted to take pictures. And we took a lot of pictures. It was cloudy and a little rainy when we first set out. We left about 8:00 in the morning, and we had our longest port day was Skagway. And I'm very thankful that we had that long of a day because we wound our way up on the Klondike Highway that's now covered in rocks, which makes me so sad. But we wound our way up to Carcross and ate lunch at the little bistro that's up there, and we shopped a little bit. And I always, when I get souvenirs on a trip, I always want to make sure that I'm getting something that the locals have made. And I don't want to, as much as I can possibly, get away from buying mass-produced stuff. And we were able to shop there. And then we went to Emerald Lake, which is another highlight. I didn't even know, I had never heard of it until this cruise. And I didn't know that I wanted to go see it until I saw it. Have you been there?
No, I've only done the train excursion there.
Well, if you ever get the chance to go to Emerald Lake, take it because it's unbelievable. The color is, it's this beautiful green with, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like it's got a filter on it. It reminded me, I've never been to Switzerland, but the whole scene that you look at, and all of that is on private property. You can't go down to the lake and all that. But there's a pull off the highway. And so we stopped and took pictures there. But it was just so beautiful. And then, the weather had cleared up by that point. The sun was shining and, it was just a gorgeous day, at that point. And then, we stayed there for a few minutes and then we made our way back down to Skagway. And, my friend Justa and I got a doughboy, which we thoroughly enjoyed because we didn't really eat that much at lunch. And so we were pretty hungry. And then, and I forgot to say in Juneau, we went to the Red Dog Saloon and they all had duck farts and I was the videographer. And they enjoyed those. And so when we went to Skagway, they wanted to try the reindeer fart at the Red Onion Saloon. And so they got those. I think they liked the duck farts better. But anyway, that was fun. And then on the way back into town, we had stopped at the Gold Rush Cemetery and made our way up to Lower Reed Falls, which was beautiful. And it's not much of a hike. It's a little bit, but it's not very long. And so if you have the chance to do that, I would highly recommend it because it really is beautiful. I don't know if I talked about Carcross Desert. It's the smallest desert in the world. And I didn't know about that either until a few months ago. And when the DIY Jeep tour process is you rent the Jeep and they give you an iPad and it's got GPS enabled on it. And so it tells you as you reach these points of interest, it would tell you about it. And then, you could stay there as long as you wanted to, or you could, drive on through. And it would keep up with where you were. And we found out through that the desert was caused by the way the mountains are formed right there in that area with the winds blowing, shoreline of the lakes that are up there, any sand that the wind would pick up, it would drop right there. And it still does, I'm assuming. And so that's how that desert was formed. And it's the smallest desert in the world. So wow, that was really, really cool to see.
And then after Skagway, where'd you go?
The next day was Glacier Bay, and then the next day was Ketchikan. And that was one of our favorite days, just because we didn't have anything planned. We rented a car through Turo, and we got there. We were there early in the morning, and so we were off the ship by 8:00. We were right there at where all the, Creek Street and everything. Well, I think we had to walk a little bit to Creek Street. But the Lumberjack show was right there, which we didn't go to, and plenty of shopping. But we got our car, and I wanted to go to Herring Cove because I knew that there was a possibility of bears being out there. Oh, we saw bears on the way back from Skagway. We saw 2 black bears. One was black and one was cinnamon. So that was amazing. But I wanted the chance to see more bears at Herring Cove. And on the way, we stopped at the Rotary Park, and I think the nickname is Bugsy Beach. And we stopped there, and we spent most of our time in Ketchikan at that location. It was low tide, and I just could not. I've seen pictures of this kind of stuff, and you can't appreciate it until you are in it. It was just so beautiful. We were walking on. It was like I can't remember if it's igneous rock, like where it's lava, it's rock that had been lava. There was streaks of quartz, all throughout the layers of it. And there were these giant boulders that were just quartz and, just laying on the beach. And we walked around for a while, and we got to a point and we realized there were eagles not too far in front of us. And so we just kind of stood there watching them. And all of a sudden they, jumped up and started flying, and one flew right over our heads. And it was just amazing. I'm an emotional person, and it doesn't take much to make me cry. So of course I cried when that happened. And I cried when we were watching the whales too. But, anyway, we took our time. We picked up some sea glass, and my husband kept finding sea glass for me. So I was really happy about that. And then we made our way to Herring Cove, and, we didn't see any bears, but we saw more eagles. We have eagles here in North Mississippi, but not the numbers, not even close to the numbers that we saw in Alaska. So it was amazing. And I had never seen a juvenile in the air. I've seen one in a nest down here, but they were all over the place. And that was really cool to see. And then we made our way back to town and shopped for a little bit because we hadn't really been able to shop before that. And so we got, t-shirts and things like that. And we did all that in like 4 hours. So
wow.
We made a day of it.
Yeah, you certainly covered a lot of ground. And your last port of call was what? Victoria, just for that technical stop?
Yes, we had 3 hours. We got there at 9:00. We didn't even bother getting off the ship because it wasn't dark yet, but it was getting dark by that point. And not really dark, but we knew it was going to be dark before we got back on the ship. And so we just didn't plan any excursions. We just stayed on the ship and enjoyed, being together for our last night. So yeah, we didn't bother.
All right, you're back in Seattle. How was the debark process?
It was great. They had given us, this was the first time that we let the cruise ship take our luggage. Normally we do self-assist. We had so much luggage with us. We overpacked. We'll know better for next time, but they gave us our luggage tags, and they were gray with number 1 on there. So they gave us a debark sheet, and it gave us times of when, if your tag says this, then you debark at this time. And we were the first ones off the ship, other than like the elite, which my friend, he had actually won elite status for the cruise during our, it was like a Princess Newbies little show or whatever. And they were giving out stuff. And one of them was elite status for the entire cruise, and he won. So he was, throwing that in our face the entire cruise, which we made, it was kind of a joke. Cause his wife she could do something, but she couldn't do everything that he was doing. So he didn't use it like he could have. But anyway, they were able to get off first thing. And so because we were the first set of, regular passengers that got off, we debarked the ship, went through the terminal, and they have your luggage in sections, and they've got colors, they've got, flags that have the colors on them, and you just go to your section and you find your luggage and you walk out with it. And so we were able to find our luggage pretty quickly. I think one bag was kind of rogue, and so my husband had to go track it down. But we were able to, from room to curb, I think it was about 20 minutes. If you had been in one of the midship or forward cabins, it may have been a little bit longer to get your luggage, because at that point, everybody would have been, trying to get off. As far as we were concerned, we got off, we were done in 20 minutes. So when we get to the curb, we were just going to Uber to our hotel. We got off and we saw the sign, there were taxis and everything, and there were shuttles, and there was a sign that said ride share this way. And it said something like 10 to 15 minute walk or something. And I thought, that, surely not that long. Yes, it is that long. It is half a mile.
Oh, wow.
To get from the port entrance to the rideshare parking lot. And when we got there, I felt like we were in Nassau or something, because there's these people that they're not affiliated with Uber or Lyft, and they're you need to go somewhere. You need a taxi. You need to go somewhere. And so we just were like, no, we're going to order through the app. And so we had to kind of get way past them, because they were relentless. But we were able to get an Uber and get to our hotel. And we basically just stayed at the hotel all day until our room was ready, because we were so exhausted.
You briefly touched on it earlier. You said this cruise was a last-minute kind of deal for you. Do you mind elaborating on that?
So we originally had planned the cruise out of Vancouver, and it was going to be the same itinerary, just a little bit longer in ports. And then we booked the cruise in February of 23. In March of 24, we discovered something that none of us knew. We found out that one of our party, a long, long time ago, had a DUI. And in order for us to be able to sail out of Canada, we would have to fill out a mountain load of paperwork that was going to it normally takes 6 months to get it processed, to make sure that the person is rehabilitated. And we didn't have that amount of time. And so thankfully, we were able to switch to Discovery Princess, which ended up being a better ship. So it worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Would I have enjoyed more time in Juneau and Ketchikan? Absolutely. But it worked out the way it was supposed to.
How does this play out, though? Like, did the cruise line notify you of this? Or, like, this could catch someone off guard?
It would have been at Customs in Vancouver. Someone that we were aware of, this happened to them. They got all the way to Vancouver, and Customs told them, you have to go back home.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. And that would have been, and because we found out that, and I don't know if this is true, but someone told us that travel insurance would not have covered that, because I don't remember why. We should have known what the laws were or something.
Sure.
Like.
Yeah. Great information there, Heather. Thank you so much for sharing that. So any first-time tips for either first-time Princess cruiser or sailing Discovery Princess?
Discovery Princess and Princess in general, if you can swing it, I would get the Princess Premier. We just didn't have to worry about anything. We just walked around the ship and ate what we wanted and drank what we wanted, and just didn't have to worry about anything. Didn't have to worry about extra or paying gratuities. Of course, that you normally pay that up front anyway, but we didn't have to worry about that. I'm trying to think of anything else that and the pictures. We were able to, now you can download every picture that you have taken on the ship. They give you the opportunity to download from the app. You can download the pictures, all of them. But to get an actual print of one, you have to pay for that. Well, Princess Premier gives you 3 8x10s per person. So we were able to get 6 8x10s already printed. Not that, that was not that big of a deal, but it was nice, not to have to try to get it done when we got home. The medallion is a game changer. If you've never experienced it before, it will blow your mind. I mean, to be able to just walk up to your cabin door and it be open, and you can tell it's not going to open to just anybody. When you get close to it, you can see the green light come on and it'll, you can tell it's open. It also has like not really a keypad, but a screen beside the door that says, "Hello, Heather," or, "Hello, Michael." And so, whoever gets there first. And then I guess Alaska, I would love to go on a land vacation up there. My husband's not on board with that, which really surprises me. He's a hunter, and not that he's going to hunt up there, but he loves being outdoors. And he was like, I just assumed to not have to worry about how we're going to get up there and how we're going to get between ports and everything. So he's ready to go back on another cruise.
Looking back on this cruise, what was the biggest highlight for y'all?
The whale watching tour for both of us. It was just if we had just been able to see the whales by themselves, it would have been amazing. But having everything else that was included with that, and then the friendliness of Adrian, the captain, and Luke, the apprentice, it was an amazing day. And
in closing here, your final thoughts of Discovery Princess.
It's a beautiful ship. The staff is happy. They won the Princess Cup for second quarter 2024, and there's a reason for that. It's a great ship. The cast of the shows, they are so talented, and it's a beautiful ship.
Heather, thank you so much for sharing this detailed Alaska cruise review of Discovery Princess. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug.
Just back from a cruise? Let's talk about it. Email Doug at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,